So, Devin, last month you released a new six-song EP called The Pink Slip, which once again sees you working with producer Jay Joyce. And
Yeah.
I do find it interesting that, I have heard you say in interviews that you feel like in the past you were writing songs about where you wanted to be, and these days you're
Mhm.
writing songs about where you actually are. And, when you listen to this, it does come across in the overall tone that it is noticeably lighter and more hopeful, optimistic than
Yeah, for sure.
perhaps Dark Horse from 3 years ago. I find the album fascinating lyrically and some of the production choices. What can you tell me about the making of it?
Yeah, I mean, I did work with Jay Joyce again. We had worked on Dark Horse before, so I knew how he worked, and I'm just really a big fan of what he does. Being completely candid, his process is actually like really hard to um, just kind of deal with because of he's just a very like he wants to do it his way and in his vision of what he sees in me, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's like actually like a really powerful thing. And it can be really healthy to like let go of all this control that I feel like I need to make all these decisions. So once I think you let go of knowing that that's how he works best, I think that's what really gets the best work out of him. And so, like I said, having worked with him before, it was just a real treat to get back in and know how each other work and all that stuff. Um, as far as writing about where I'm going and writing about where I'm been or where I've been and where I am and all that stuff, I think that quote kind of directly came from like more of like a love song. Like when I used to write a love song, I was trying to talk about where I wanted to go and the things I wanted and what I thought somebody might want. And now since then I have fallen in love and gotten married and become really, really happy. And so those songs tend to be more about where I'm at, where I'm standing. And so those seem to be a little bit easier to write than the heartbreak ones these days, even though um, I'll always sing heartbreak songs. Like that's what got me into this. That's my foundation. I'll always fly that dark horse flag. You know what I mean? But as much as I love that character and I love the emotion and how my voice suits that kind of thing, I think it's my job as an artist to just tell people what I've gone through in the last couple of years, and that's what my albums will always be. And so for this project, we started recording 6 songs, and we were going to do more, and then we didn't finish them, and then pandemic and all this, and all these certain things happened, and it was for me, it was just priority to get new music out as quick as possible, just because it had been a little bit of a time, in between Dark Horse and the Pink Slip PP. So that's my rant. I hope that answered all of it for you. I wasn't quite sure what you were looking for, but
Well, I mean, the EP kicks off with the track Range Rover, which seems like a song like purpose made for the stage. I mean, I
yeah.
know you co-wrote it with Mark Trussell and Ben Rector. Um,
Mhm.
it's got this lovely, playful, and I almost feel like I listen to hip hop too. It's got like a sort of that feel good hip hop energy as
Yeah, it's got
well.
like a swag and like a kind of like cheekiness to it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
What was it about that track though that made you want to sort of launch this project with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think this whole project might, like you said earlier, be a little bit lighter and more hopeful, and maybe unexpected of what people would have thought would have come next after an album like Dark Horse. But I
Yeah,
think more so than that, I think my fans know to expect the unexpected from me. I think they are teed up and groomed, and I think they like the same things I do, and that's like reinventing the wheel and trying something that's never been done but doing it on a hugely relatable kind of way. And so I wanted to start the EP off with something that was like a little like, damn, like I ain't never heard anything like that before.
yeah.
And so it's kind of like my country version of Kanye's Gold Digger. um, and honestly, like I don't consider myself like I'm funny. Like I know how to tell jokes. I have a sense of humor and all that. But like when it comes to music, I don't necessarily like kind of like align with all of the cheekier songs. And so I think having somebody like Ben Rector to write this one with me, and he was actually in the music video and all that, and his dry humor is that he's just so good at that comedic timing thing. And so I don't think I could have pulled this song off the right way without somebody as awesome as Mark. I'm sorry, as Ben Rector, and Mark just the same as well. But Yeah, I just wanted to start off with a bang, and so I figured that was a good way to kick it off.
And another song, I Got a Truck. I believe this was born off the back of a conversation you had with Tim McGraw a few years ago when you were on the road with him and Faith Hill.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, dude. I mean, I've told this story so many times, and I'll really try to keep it short, just because I could just talk for like hours about it, just because how crazy it is. But yeah, we were just having a conversation backstage in between my set and his set, and he was kind of just warming up, and I walked up and kind of just said thanks for having me out and all that stuff, and it kind of just turned into like a conversation of him giving me some wisdom and maybe just sharing some things that he's held on to in his life, you know, and that he thought were important along the way. And I was just listening to all this and taking it in. I was just really inspired by this story he was telling me, the specific story of him coming to Nashville and trying to break through that like really initial kind of industry wall or whatever, like trying to get discovered, you know. And he had kind of a hard time doing it, but there was a guy named Brian Williams who was a banker, and he gave Tim a shot, but Tim came to him and kind of, it's like, man, I got these songs, I got this work ethic, I got this shitty truck I could trade you. It's not worth much, but I need someone to believe in me. I need some money to get to the next step, you know. And Brian took a shot on him, and now he's arguably the biggest superstar in our format, you know. And so I'm sitting here listening to this, and I'm like, dude, like that's such a crazy story. Like, you know, have you written a song about that? And sometimes it's hard to see yourself, you know what I mean? Like when other people are looking at your story, it's easier to see the magic in it. But he kind of shoved it off a little bit, and it's like, no, I hadn't written it, and I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And it had so much parallels to my journey to Nashville, and I drove a truck from California to Nashville and packed everything I had, and took me, you know, 4 or 5 years to get anybody to even listen to a song of mine that I wrote. And you know, so like I think a lot of us, whether you're at Tim McGraw's level or you're just starting out like me still or whatever, or any level, it's like we all have struggles going through this industry or just life in general, you know. And so while yeah, it is a truck song, it is about a truck, and I'm not necessarily the truck guy, you know, but again, I think that was something that was unexpected and something that was like, okay, this is how I would do a truck song, you know. It's there for you if you want some deeper meaning from it, and if you want to get up off your ass and go, you know what I'm saying?
And certainly, you know, a highlight, you know, from listening to this EP is the song He Loved Her.
Mm.
You co-wrote that one with Nicole Gallion and Jordan Reynolds. And I know it
Yeah.
was sort of inspired by almost a tribute for your grandfather, Jerry, who you've
Yeah.
described as your rock. It's interesting that, you know, I always feel like as a songwriter, when I listen to your stuff, obviously I don't know you personally, but I feel like you're somebody who would overanalyze things like life events
Oh
because your
God, yeah,
lyrics are
dude.
quite complex.
Oh
But
yeah.
this song is probably the most straight to the point thing you've ever done, yet one of the most effective.
Yeah, that's what my dad says too. Because and honestly, like when I wrote this, like I didn't know if it was enough, you know, of something unique or whatever for me. But it kind of just sank in. And after a couple weeks, I was like, man, I need to record that song, you know. But my dad said the same thing. He's like, dude, you know, that's the simplest, straightforward, heartfelt country song you've ever written, and like you need songs like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? As much as I love challenging myself and challenging my listener and challenging my fans and all of that, and like I said, trying to reinvent the wheel with every song, like sometimes you know you just need to sing a simple song that comes from a real place. And that's really what I learned, and that's, you know, awesome that you took that away from that. Like you said, not necessarily knowing me, but knowing me, like, you know, I do like to get a little bit more complex with my lyrics. And so again, another unexpected thing, another change of pace of something that I'm trying that like I just really feel like paid off. And it helps when it comes from a real place too, you know what I mean? With my grandpa and all that. So yeah, I'm proud of that song, and it's had a really cool impact so far. So
And you'll be glad to hear, you know, a song that was really massive over here in Northern Ireland was your collaboration with Hardy and Lauren Elena, One Beer.
mm,
And, you know, it's interesting that, you know, I first heard the song on his Hardy's Hicks tape in 2019.
hmm,
And then for it to be the final track on that, then for it to kind of take off with a life of its own, top
yeah,
the country charts. Um, I think your twin brother, he's Hardy's drummer, isn't he?
correct.
I'm guessing this is how the relationship sort of came about and how the collaboration came together?
With my brother.
Well, no, through your brother, perhaps that's maybe how you've established a relationship and a working
Yeah, I
relationship.
mean, I think that's just kind of indicative of how Nashville is, and like
Yeah,
we kind of all come up in like circles and not even cliques, because clique is like almost like negative, but like we have this group of people. It's just like in high school, like you kind of just align with the certain people that you align with, and Hardy and I have been writing and singing together for a long time, and we kind of came up together and started writing and getting signed and all that stuff at the same time, and we wrote God's Country for Blake Shelton together, and so we have history, and so I think it did somehow come from my brother, though. I think you're right, because my brother is always just like up on whatever's Hardy is doing, and like because he's the drummer and he's got to work on new songs, and I'm like, so one day I was just like, so what's up with you and Hardy? What are you guys up to? And this was 2-3 years ago maybe at this point, and he was just telling me like Hardy's doing a Hicks tape, he's doing like a featured album art or featured artist album sort of thing, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And so then when Hardy and I were celebrating God's Country going number one, we were at this bar called Red Door in Nashville, and just kind of ripping some tequila shots and having some beer and stuff, and I kind of like got in his ear a little bit. I was kind of like, yo, like I hear you doing a Hicks tape, man. Like get, where's my song, dude?
yeah.
I was like, get your boy on it, and I was kind of just halfway joking, but after we laughed about it, I was like, yo, seriously though, if there is something that's like a little bit more left field, a little bit more of a serious kind of topic, or something that maybe not that fits in, or you're trying to figure out, he knows the shit I like, and you know what I mean, you know what I'm saying. It's like if there's something a little bit different on the album that needs a different voice, like let me know. And he sent me the song a couple days later, and I just pretty much freaked out just because I loved it so much. And I don't know, it's kind of a crazy story because I didn't really expect it to ever be a single. I mean, like you said, it's the last song on the album, and it's compared to all of these like stadium redneck bangers, it's kind of an outlier in a way, just kind of like what I do in this industry in general. And but for some reason, fans gravitated towards that one when it came to streaming and numbers and things like that. And maybe it's because it was different, maybe because it did stand out in a good way. But his label, Big Loud, they're really smart with the way they deal with consumption, and they're not afraid to pivot from what they thought should have been the single to going towards the single that's connecting. And that's a testament to just how smart and how resilient and quick they are about their business. And they were right, and it, like you said, it topped the country charts, and it's cool to hear that it's something that's been a international thing as well. And it just came in a year where it was just such a crazy, shitty, weird year. And so to have some sort of positivity and some sort of light in a song with my friends and Lauren and everything, and it going number one is crazy. Kind of sucks because we didn't really get to sing it much. I think we sang it like 3 times the whole year. Normally we would sing it on like radio shows and TV shows and all this stuff. But yeah, man. So I mean, I'm thankful for that song for sure.
You mentioned there God's Country, and I spoke to Hardy last summer, and he was telling me this story about how yourself, him, and Jordan Schmidt wrote this on a Thursday, and by the following Tuesday, Blake Shelton had recorded it, which is just remarkable.
It's
But I
insane.
want to ask you, in many ways, the song revitalized Blake Shelton's career. To do that, for you to be performing the song with him, um, for it to sell so well, for it to win so many awards, I mean, you must just be so proud of that song.
Yeah, 100%, dude. That song is I don't even know. I can't even quantify or wrap my hands around that song. And it's
Yeah.
just the proof of like this spirituality and creativity. It's like I don't know where that song came from. I don't know why it came at the time it did. I don't know why everything lined up as well as it did, because it doesn't ever happen that way. You never write. It was the first song we wrote that year after Christmas break, and wrote it in a couple hours. Didn't really, I mean, we thought it was good. I didn't really wait. I hadn't heard it back yet, and then heard the demo back the next day, and I was like, holy shit, this is insane. And then Blake recorded it in 5 days, went to number one within 6 months from blank page, and it just, that doesn't happen. And so it's kind of spoiled me because now I'm like, I usually like to write slow, and I'm kind of I'm a thinker, as that, probably shouldn't surprise you, but like, it makes me think, well, maybe I can write a freaking international Grammy award winning number one in 2 hours. Maybe I can, so, but not only that, like, I'm not sure it really revitalized his career. I think it just gave him another little bump of something, and was a different kind of song that he hadn't done in a while. And, you know, Blake doesn't need us or that song for his career to stay huge, you know what I mean? But it is a cool thing to have just a little piece of his history, and help that. And he's been so gracious through the whole thing, and letting Hardy and I come sing on stage with him in San Jose, and just I got to sing on the track with him, and just so many opportunities that he's shared the spotlight with us, and that doesn't have to happen either, So it's been a freaking blessing. Also, like, making that kind of money during a year where I can't tour also really helps. Like,
Yes.
and I can pay my band, and I can do things that I wouldn't be able to do, and I wouldn't be stressing as much, And so again, like, I can't quantify like how special that song really is, and what it's enabled me to do for the last couple of years. And so even in my own mind, creatively, just opening up doors and things I can get away with and things like that. So it's been awesome. Yeah.
Last October, yourself and your wife Leah celebrated your first wedding anniversary. And
Yep.
I'm interested in, as a guy who's worked so hard um, and has been on this conveyor belt, when you look back at 2020 and now the beginning of 2021, you are a self-confessed introvert. Have you,
Oh yeah, for sure.
in a way, has it been a bit of a gift to get a random year off with your wife and also to take your foot off the gas and maybe take stock of what you've achieved as opposed to next album tour, next album tour? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, dude, 100% yes. I would completely agree with that. I mean, so much of my wife and I's relationship was built on me being gone more than half the time, and
Yeah.
so I joke, I'm like, man, I'm glad we made the right decision, because it's like, as far as like marrying each other, it's like after a year of being with somebody for 24 hours a day, it's like, yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Like, we did it. Like, it was kind of, not that it was ever going to be like revealing the other side of that, if it wasn't the right decision, but it was, when you marry someone, you not only agree to love them forever, but it's like, I'm also just going to be here forever. Like, I'm going to hang out with you forever, and learning how to work through that, because I need my alone time. Like, I need it, you know what I mean? And so just learning each other, and getting the opportunity to spend that much time together, and with our dogs and our house, and write songs as slow as I want to this year. Like, it's just been a really big blessing. It does feel like it's not real. Like, it just feels like we're in a movie or something, dude. It's just, I don't
Yeah.
even know how to explain it. And I really, really do miss touring. But for the moment, I have enjoyed being a little bit more um, in one place for,
Yeah.
for,
Yeah.
for the time being. So yeah, it's been a
Oh,
blessing.
I want to ask you about, I found it quite random and certainly refreshing that you worked with a band from this part of the world on a track called Matthew's Daughter, Beoga. And
Yeah.
I know the track, well, Ed Sheeran and Johnny McDaid from Snow Patrol were involved in the writing of it. But
Hmm.
when I saw, Devin Dawson, Beoga, how did this come together? Because it's really a beautiful song.
Thank you, dude. Yeah, I really do love that song too, and I love how it came out. And it was kind of before we needed to, like, it was before the pandemic and stuff, so it was like, collaborating on an international level from two completely different studios, and it was like almost like practice to going into how we were going to have to do it anyways. But from what I understand, and maybe I don't know the whole story, I don't even know how it came about. I really honestly think that they were just fans of mine, and they were looking for some features for their project. And I know we're on the same label as far as Warner and Atlantic go, or whatever. I think, if I'm not wrong, but I think it was just kind of they were fans of what I did and wanted to see how I sounded on this song. And they sent me the song, and obviously Ed Sheeran was singing it, and I was like, okay, I know that voice, and he must have written this song. And aside from that, though, I just thought the song was really well written, and it was indicative of your part of the world in the way that it sounded, but it still had a pop feel to it. And I don't know, it was just something inspiring and something new for me to do, and just expand my roots and expand my reach, and get to collaborate with some really awesome, nice people because everyone in the band. They came to Nashville and we got to hang out and drink a little bit, and they're just awesome. So yeah, they sent me the song and I did a vocal on it and sent it back, and they loved it, you know. And it's kind of funny because Ed Sheeran's voice is just incredible and his range is insane. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if you noticed that because he doesn't make it sound like it's that hard, but like that song is not easy to sing, you know what I mean? And so like I didn't like after we did it, like I think it was one of those things where if I would have known what key it was in, I probably been able to do it. But I didn't even ask, and I didn't even ask for like a lower key or anything. I was just like, I'm just gonna do it. Like I'm fine. I'm just gonna do it, you know. And it definitely pushed my limits, like range wise. But I really was like I rose to the occasion, and I was really proud of the way it sounded and like what my voice sounded like in that range. Something that I normally wouldn't have been able to like reach for, I guess.
Yeah.
So it was a cool opportunity to kind of showcase that, and I thought it turned out really well. And again, just another cool piece of little international collab there with my people.
Just final question, Devin. I know you are fairly friendly with a guy who actually is originally from about 20 minutes from where I'm talking to you from today.
Boy,
Banger, Foy Vance. Um, you know, I saw your cover a couple of years ago of She Burns, which was
hmm
outstanding. And I know more recently you were a guest on his Vinyl Supper podcast series.
yeah.
Um, there's lots of country singers, aside from yourself, Keith Urban, Miranda Lambert, Ashley Monroe, they've been so outspoken in their praise of that guy and also aware of his back catalogue. Why do you think within the country genre he is truly appreciated?
Um, I mean, if anyone spends any time with him, aside from his talent in music, you know, you just want to be around the guy. You know, he's fun, he's respectful, he's rowdy. Like, he's all of it. You know what I mean? And just a peach, man. I just love him. And then you hear him sing, and it's like, holy shit, dude. Like, I don't think people realize like how good his voice is. Like, all of his recordings sound great, and like, no, you can't just go down to Alabama Muscle Shoals and record an album live and it sound that good unless you're literally that good. You know what I mean? But we had a chance. He came down to Nashville for a week to write, and like we spent the first 2 days literally just me and him in this random apartment, and we wrote like 7 or 8 songs, and just like I don't know, we just clicked on everything, and it wasn't just we clicked on music, but I wouldn't go call him for a beer. You know what I mean? Like it was like the whole thing, and I don't know. I think he's an incredible talent. I think the way that he does approach music with more heart and with more craft, I think that is indicative of what we do in country music, and maybe that's why he slides in and fits in so well here, is because he is a student of the craft, and he is a guy who wants to add more than just whatever the first thing you think of or just melody. Or like, I just think that he likes, as his creative heart is satisfied by the same things that we in country music usually are satisfied by, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, he is just such a peach. That's crazy. Yeah. Good question, dude.
Well, listen, I mean, I saw you perform actually at the last CMA Fest in Nashville, and you honestly, you knocked me out. So I can't wait to the day you're standing on a stage in Ireland, either north or south. All the best with the Pink Slip. It really is a great collection of songs, and I really appreciate you giving me some time.